This week on the Rental Report Review. The City Under the City, The Asphalt Jungle, 1950. The odyssey of a young youth who wants no part of sex. He wants it all. You're a big boy now, 1966. This cabbie ain't asking for no tips. Walking the Edge, 1985. All in a day's work. Working Girls, 1986. The most unusual police force in the world. Hollywood Vice Squad, 1986. I don't know that Asphalt Jungle is talked about enough. I mean, I'm really late to the John Huston game. I found him first, probably really consciously through Chinatown as an actor. And he is a very interesting archetype as actor, writer, director. I think most directors are probably frustrated actors. I'm not saying anything new here. But I think his attention and embodiment of pretty much every part of the chain of creation in a film really is the superpower that makes his film so good. He's thinking about the entire object and how to fit all of those pieces together into a coherent whole.
I don't care, I just want to be with you.
And I think he acknowledges that these films, these post-war American crime films, need to take place in the real world. You need to feel like you're out there in the real world. These actors need to not act, they need to be more like real people. They need to have real flaws.
Highly respectable men, I might add.
There's a dissolution of the proscenium. Cameras have to exist in small spaces in the real world. We see strongly motivated, practical light sources. It feels like a reality we could touch, but to a certain extent is thankfully just out of reach in the fantasy. Marilyn Monroe, Jesus Christ, there is not enough said about her acting. She really is embodying her character in a way that makes all the other actors around her look like they're acting.
A right guy in a wrong world.
I give The Asphalt Jungle 4 stars. I love a good heist film. I think I just personally like a heist film that deals more with the planning stage of it, and the climax of the film is whether or not they kind of get away with it. Where the heist is more in the beginning, and then we're really dealing with the kind of fallout afterwards, which I think this film does really well. It's not my preference. Gun to my head, if I had to choose Sterling Hayland heist performances, I would probably have to go with The Killing.
This is a boy.
Arguably, depending, I guess, on how you measure, this is, at least by some measure, the first what one could call, ostensibly, Francis Ford Coppola film. You know, even if it's not his first film, it is an ambitious movie. I have to admit that I did find myself a little less interested in what was actually going on in this movie, although it is a lot of fun. We don't really make farces like this anymore. What I did find myself a little bit more interested in is trying to wrap my head around what is the through line of Coppola's films. Is there any of it present even here? And the best I could kind of come up with right now, just off the top of my head, was something along the lines of an individual finding themselves at odds, toiling against the sort of cosmic order of things, trying to find self and meaning.
How Bernard becomes a big boy in the big city is what this little epic is about.
You know, I'm trying to see what might be similar with Harry Call in The Conversation, and Michael Corleone, or, you know, The Two Lovers and One from the Heart, or Peggy Sue, Willard in Apocalypse Now. Characters at odds with their fate that do or don't find some sort of transcendence. I mean, am I just describing the hero's journey? Is it that simple? Am I that dumb?
3-year-old albino hypnotherapist with a wooden leg.
I give You're a Big Boy Now 3.5 stars. It's definitely worth checking out if you're a Francis Ford Coppola fan.
Splashing.
Elizabeth Hartman is perfectly aloof. Karen Black is just an absolute heartbreaking cutie in this. There's definitely, like, Coppola has always had pretty impeccable casting.
It's also about wooden legs.
For one reason or another, I did find myself thinking a lot about Sternberg's The Blue Angel, and quite a bit about Murakami. Well, specifically Murakami's Norwegian Wood, Haruki Murakami's Norwegian Wood. It's something to do with the moral lesson I think that we all learn or grapple with. You can't capture someone and change them to be the way you want them to be. And if you try to do that, you're really only going to find suffering. That really you have to learn when to let go. I think that's what takes this film from being just a frivolous farce to something that is an appreciated entry into the coming of age story. I think this Coppola kid's got something.
Just come up here right now.
You're a big boy now.
Well, I don't know how, but you're a big boy now. You're a big boy now. I'm gonna take a bow, 'cause you're a big boy now. You're a big boy now.
Walking the edge in a violent city.
Dad! Run, Dad, run!
Holy fucking shit, what a discovery this film is. I can't take any credit from this. I rushed out and picked this one up based off of Cinematic Void's Top 10 LA Sleaze Films. I was absolutely not ready in any way for the powerhouse of Walking the Edge. Holy shit, where's this movie been?
He was an easygoing man, a nice guy with unfulfilled dreams.
Part of the reason I'm diving into this subgenre of LA crime, I really feel like we're living through very similar times, at least in Los Angeles here. It's really felt like a sort of throwback to growing up here in the 1980s. And a lot of the socio-cultural, political issues are echoing. I think Walking the Edge shows, more than a lot of films I can think of off the top of my head, how do we navigate a world, a city, where we feel largely abandoned, left to fend for ourselves? How do we find justice? How do we find peace? What are the things worth fighting for, killing for?
I mean, somebody got a goddammit fry, and you were right in the middle.
I give Walking the Edge 4.5 stars.
Get out of my fucking car! I wouldn't get caught in a piece of shit like that!
It's a superb balance of character study, of personal transformation, of gritty action that pulls absolutely no punches.
Jack up, Cabby!
There is a supreme liberty that one can achieve in exploitation genre cinema where the budget is just low enough and the limitations are lifted just enough because you know your best shot is going to be through some sort of sensationalism that you can really present the rawest forms of humanity, yet still put it in the most viscerally charging, at its best, entertaining form.
Up here, Brewster.
This is absolutely a must-watch. This is a must-watch for any LA noir, neo-noir crime head. This belongs in the conversation with the likes of The Driver, To Live and Die in LA, any Michael Mann LA take. I mean, Collateral owes so much to this movie. It's a damn near perfect LA noir film. Sweet Jesus, Robert Forster. Working Girls is one of the most curiously and interestingly constructed films I've seen in quite a while. It exists somewhere between creative nonfiction short story and moral tale.
I love most in life for sex and money. It's just that I didn't know until much later that they were connected.
What I found myself seeping into was something that felt much more like a corporate industrial training film, where you see scenario after scenario of possible situation you might encounter on a day of work. And it wasn't until the film finally escapes the confines of the house in which all the women operate, does the film radically come into focus, and found myself on an exhilarating ride for the last third of the film. I found myself falling in love with it. I give Working Girls 1986 by Lizzie Borden.
Shall we make an appointment at the same time next week?
Sure.
I'm revising. I'm going with 4 stars. I might be inflating that for the moment. I don't know. I found myself thinking a lot about Ken Russell's Whore. I saw that way too young. My gut tells me that there is an interesting juxtaposition, at the very least, to be had between those two films. I'm never happy to report on a disappointing miss, but despite all my willingness to want to embrace this movie, just couldn't quite get there. But even with my arms wide open, wanting to embrace an 80s gritty Los Angeles tongue-in-cheek comedy, action, exploitation film, sadly, this one seems like it was almost designed first for television and then tried to reverse engineer a way into making it a possible exploitation, I don't know, rental hit? It's hard to figure out what the motivation behind this film was. It was for the most part competently made, but I think that the film falls apart first and foremost with the script. It doesn't even know what its own terms are. It doesn't know what contract to set up with the audience. Is this a world where there's danger? Is this a world where police procedure matters? It kind of doesn't even know those table stakes. It just ends up kind of feeling frivolous by the end. I give Hollywood Vice Squad 2.5 stars. This film promises sleaze, but clutches its pearls at the most vanilla descriptions of sexual exploitation. I don't know why anyone's here. I'd much rather watch Vice Squad. I'd much rather watch Angel. I'd much rather watch Busting. Or go back and put on Walking the Edge. You win some, you lose some. Thank you so much for watching. You can follow me on Instagram and X to see what movies I'm renting next, and pretty much everything is on my letterbox. I am going to go